Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today on how to drive sales with NBS and Glenigan. I'm Holly Cameron, Head of Business Development here at NBS. Just a few housekeeping bits before we get started. The webinar will last around 45 minutes. All attendees' microphones are muted. So if you do have any questions, please just put them in the chat box and we will get back to you after the session. So in terms of what we're going to cover today, we've got an introduction and an overview of NBS and Glenigan with myself. I'll then show in practice how NBS and Glenigan can help you drive sales with my colleague Annalise from Glenigan. And then I'm going to hand over to Nick Gray from Powrmatic, who is using NBS and Glenigan, and he'll be able to give you a little bit more insight into how they use it to target their sales strategy. And then we'll follow up with a close and next steps. So just starting with an introduction in terms of who we are. So NBS is the UK's leading specification platform, which for 50 years now we've been helping the construction industry build better. Glenigan provide the UK's and Ireland's most accurate and comprehensive construction project leads, and together we're both part of the Big Factor Group, who are a leading data and software provider to the global construction industry. So for architects, engineers, designers, contractors, we provide a cloud-based specification system, NBS Chorus, that enables them to work smarter and reduce their risk when they're building their specifications. And for building product manufacturers, you can place your products on NBS Source directly in front of the right people at the right time when product decisions are taking place. Around 3,600 specifiers, consisting of 98% of the top AJ 100 architects, are using our platform, as well as MEP engineers, local authorities and housing associations, and they're spending over 200,000 hours every month on our platform. Unlike any other product data platform, from design to construction, our products seamlessly integrate, making it the only place where you can track sales opportunities right through from specification to the contractor, giving you a much better chance of securing that project. So if we look at NBS Source can connect you directly to the specification, allowing your product data, BIM objects to be directly accessible in the specification environment at the exact time, as I say, when products decisions are being made. So around 129 unique users are actively specifying on the platform on average every 90 days. We have around 15,000 products that are added into specifications over that same period, and over 62,000 BIM downloads, BIM file downloads are being taken from the website every 90 days. Glenigan can help you build targeted campaigns to enhance your product listings and generate awareness to architects and specifiers through our range of marketing services. So over 600,000 projects listed on Glenigan, and we have a combined customer number now of over 300. And we have approximately 15,000 linked projects that are active in our systems. So with the partner platform, this will give you extensive project intelligence, all the details that you can have on a project in one place, which can save a huge amount of time when you've already got the projects linked. So together with NBS and Glenigan, you can implement a highly targeted sales strategy, and you can track those projects to protect that specification. So we're now going to take a look at how it works in practice. So as I say, I'll start with the demonstration from earlier on in a project timeline through specification, and hand over to Annalise to show you the Glenigan platform. So we're here now in NBS Chorus, which is the cloud-based specification tool that our specifiers are using to create their projects. So I'm using a real-life example of a project. However, it is of course example data. But in this example, we've got an education project, Fullbrook Middle School. And here you can see we capture the location, the nature of that project, and also whether the sector is education, commercial, residential, etc. So within the specification, I'm using an example of a gypsum board suspended sealant system. So this provides a specifier with an outline specification, guidance on the right-hand side, and access to the latest legislations and current standards, which we maintain and keep up to date in-house. So here they can start defining their system performance requirements, and they can build in their system manufacturer. So you can see here that provides a list of options, and on the right hand side they can filter by most recently verified. They may even want to click into compare products first into NBS source as they do further research and make further product comparisons. So within NBS source, it's really easy and streamlined to use. They can filter on the left-hand side by third-party certification. They can filter by whether there are BIM objects, sustainability data. And just for example, if I were particularly looking for environmental product declarations, that can be filtered on the system. And we do have a comparison tool which enables the specifier to select up to 3 products, click compare, and it provides product data in a seamless structured set of data so that they can compare like for like. So if I were to want to add this product into a specification, there are a couple of different ways that I could do that directly from NBS source, or again, going back into NBS Chorus. The same product information is all available here in the platform, so very easy to use. And all of the additional information is pre-built in the system so that they can select the varying options to that specification. So at that point of adding that product into the specification, this is where we're going to take a look at now of how we capture that data and show you the behind the scenes analytics. So within our NBS intelligence, this platform will enable you to see what products are being specified by which organisation and the project name and classification associated. So in this case here, we've got the gypsum board sealant system product being specified. It's telling me which organisation has specified it and on the Fullbrook education project. Now, as well as seeing what products have actually been specified, we also have a unique proposition where you can actually see which projects have specified your product type. So if we go back into the specification here, and you can see that there was an option for a contractor's choice specification. When that's selected, we will surface that as additional project leads. So you could come into this platform, you can filter by that relevant classification system, and you can filter by linked projects, making it much easier and efficient to target your sales strategy on the right projects. So having that synchronization between the two platforms means that you can very easily identify which projects you want to be targeting your sales efforts on. And in this example, we're going to take a little closer look at this project here, which has got the contractor integration on this project. So I'm now going to hand over to Annalise, and she's going to take you through the Glenigan platform and what happens when you make that click and link off to Glenigan.
Thanks, Holly, for that. Hopefully we can now have a little look at how you can go from the analytics side of NBS into the Glenigan platform. So the first example that Holly mentioned there was this Fallbrook Middle School. So if you'd seen or been a customer of NBS and your product was specified on this school, that Glenigan icon would have taken you straight into this project information. So you can now see, first of all, the full name and address of the project. In NBS, it was just referred to as Fallbrook MS. So what our research team do is a lot of the hard work in terms of pairing up the project with the information provided by customers into NBS. So just eliminating that research time and giving you a direct link through. Within the Glenigan platform, we then research these projects from as early as pre-planning stages through to completion. So this example here we can see was actually first published back in 2021. The key points of information that help you here is planning stage. We can see that's been granted and works have commenced on site. So if you were just picking up your specification now, you've got a very good idea as to how far through this project is, particularly when looking at the start and end dates down the page here as well. It will give you a quick overview as to what the project entails. And then you've got multiple tabs along the top here, which will give you more information on the project specifically and the contacts involved. So materials tab, first of all, you can see looking down the list here, we've got various elements that have been picked up either through the planning documents or through the specifications provided to us by NBS. And you've also got sort of quite a bit of information or finer information as to what exactly has been specified. In particular, we've got the suspended ceilings element here, which is the product that Holly was looking at on source. Once we've looked at that, so clicking into the contacts tab here, it will show us all the different contacts involved in the various stages of the project. So you've got your clients at the top here. It will then go through into further detail around the design teams, so the architects and consultants involved. So in this particular example, Concertus were the ones who had specified this product via NBS, but Glenigan then gives you the individual contacts within this organisation who have been telephone verified in connection with this specific school project. So you've got direct points of contact that you can go to in order to discuss and make sure your specification is upheld. From here, you can go into their company page, and this will tell you a lot more information about their business. So not only the one project we've looked at here, but you've also got the option to look at alternative contacts within the organisation, information around which contractors and architects, etc., they tend to work with, but also their other list of projects. So maximising on that specification by actually engaging with that practice to see perhaps where else that system could also be specified. Companies can then be followed to ensure you don't miss out on anything new from them in the future, and that will email notify you of any other activity they have on future projects. And also just going back into the original project we were looking at, it will give you further information around what other roles and contacts are involved. So if I continue to scroll us through the information here, you can see the wide variety of different roles we pick up in connection with a project, and we will eventually get to the contractor. So details of those guys and also into the subcontractors as well. The other example that Holly mentioned was this project along here. So this vehicle surfacing facility was the project which had been allocated as contractor's choice. So again, the information is laid out the same, but of course, very important for you to then see not only that Glencar are the main contractor on this site, but also the contacts within that organisation. So if I scroll quickly down to their details, you've then got two contacts within Glencar that you could discuss exactly what system they're going to put into this project, and hopefully win the order. Finally, you can use Glenigan almost as a standalone. So within the platform, you can use this to find other opportunities specifying your products, and also pull off, for example, contact lists of specifiers to then promote your NBS listings back to. So you've got various filters here. I've used the same example in terms of materials, looking at suspended ceilings, so narrowing it straight down to projects with that as a requirement. You can also filter by location, so pick the area that you want to be targeting within your project sectors, so you can be as specific as you want to be, whether you want to target the school market, offices, whatever it is that best suits your products. And what you can do from here is, if I select the role that I may be interested in, so specifically perhaps the architects, or you do also have key consultants roles added here as well, I can then flick straight into that list of contacts to export from the platform. So a further filter for email address, if perhaps you were using this for email campaigns, and I can then select and export that data to be used to promote your products to these specifiers once again. So hopefully that's given a quick overview of some of the benefits of the Glenigan platform alongside your NBS subscription, but I'll pass you back over to Holly now.
Thanks, Annalise. That was great. We're now going to hear from Nick, who will be able to share a little bit more insight into how they've implemented NBS and Glenigan into their sales strategy.
Thank you, Holly, and it's an absolute pleasure for me to be here today to talk about Powrmatic and the implementation and the introduction of NBS and Glenigan into our company over the last 12 to 18 months. By way of introduction, I'm Nick Gray. I'm the ventilation product manager here at Powrmatic, and I've been involved in the company for about 3.5 years now. Just to give you a little bit of information about Powrmatic as a company, to give you a bit of background for today's presentation, we are a HVAC manufacturer, that's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and we've been operating for about 75 years now. We're based in the southwest of England, where we operate predominantly within the UK, but also within EMEA territories and also some ROW territories. We operate with a supply-only model, which means that we supply commercial applications, contractors and specialists via our trusted partners, very much on a B2B basis. We are supplying into new construction projects and refurb projects alike. That might be change of use, change of owner, that sort of thing. And we're currently turning somewhere in the region of about 25 million, just to give you some background. Why the NBS and Glenigan at Powrmatic from a sales perspective? Well, we've been operating for 75 years, so we've got a history of exposure to planning databases. We feel we understand the planning process, and we feel we understand the construction process okay. So we understood the crux of potentially what was being offered. However, the 4 different divisions that we have have a requirement, I should say, for different stages and views of different stages of a particular project. For example, the ventilation products that I look after need to have a view of the early stages of a project, whereas perhaps the heating products would have much more of a view of the latter stages of a project, based upon when they're required and when they're likely to be used within that particular building. I've already said that we supply on a supply-only basis. And what this means is that we tend to have a restricted visibility of our pipeline because we're very reliant on, or historically we have been reliant on, our customers' pipeline and the projects they either choose or are actively involved in or not. So we decided that what we needed was to be involved in projects a lot earlier than ever before. And at this point, we made the assumption that perhaps the NBS and or Glenigan could support us with that. Ultimately, though, all of this was driven by a renewed and new growth model to provide what we refer to as solutions and not just product. So historically, we have provided product of sorts into construction projects. Going forward, the desire and the strategy is very much to provide solutions for the whole HVAC solution within that particular project. And with this, curls. And ultimately, the growth model and the sales model will lead into an active and a passive sales strategy. So I've just dropped this slide in. I quite liked this. The point I'm trying to make here is that what we found is that actually when you're implementing a new growth model and when you're implementing a new sales strategy, actually communication is key, and when implementing the internal communication, the significant change was important. So I've already mentioned we have a dual approach sales strategy. I'm going to cover that off slightly more now. What I mean by that is that we have an active approach. So in the active approach, the customer is heavily reliant on the sales rep, and they have a very close relationship driving business. This potentially can be a negative because it creates a single point of failure during a sales model. It's resource heavy, i.e. you need people on the ground actively selling at all times. Information is not readily available to the customer when they require it because they're reliant on the sales rep. A positive is that it can be reactive. An example to Powrmatic might be that if you required a site survey tomorrow, your particular sales rep could react to that and could be surveying your site within 24 hours. The point I'm trying to make here is that within an active sales model, there is potential during growth to become busy fools. Within a passive sales strategy, the customer can self-serve. The resource is lightweight. The information is available on demand, but as I've already alluded to, it does require a strategy. And going into the early stages of this new growth phase, the strategy was hugely, hugely important. What it does allow you to do is strategically align your resource as opposed to reacting to every scenario. Our target for all of this was sustainable, predictable growth. So I've just dropped in a slide here of how we believed we would achieve predictable, sustainable growth. And I've dropped in some of the platforms that we are using and leveraging to enable us to make our way through our sales funnel on the left-hand side, from prospecting through to securing and closing those projects. So that was a little bit of background on why we started the conversation with NBS and Glenigan and why we wanted to implement these platforms. What I've got now is a few minutes on some of the tools, the features, and the methods we've used with the platforms that Holly and Annalise have already covered, explaining how we're using them on a day-to-day basis. So the first one is to refer to the NBS click-through to Glenigan, which I know has already been highlighted. As an example, within my inbox, I receive an email informing me that our products have been specified within a project by a given person or practice straight into my Outlook inbox. Once I then navigate within NBS, this then tells me more details, but to navigate directly to that project. By being able to navigate to that project, I can look at the project in much more detail and decide whether this is something we want to actively pursue or passively monitor for the coming time period. So another feature I refer to is direct to inbox updates. This gives us project status updates of when perhaps contracts are awarded or perhaps when subcontractors are added to projects. So when within Glenigan we are following a project, again, I get a direct to inbox email, which tells me that subcontractors are added or similar information. This then allows us to react again in a passive or active way, depending on how we want to pursue that particular project. We also use this in a similar way using keyword searches within Glenigan. For example, we use keyword searches such as AOV, which is an automatically opening vent, which is part of our ventilation portfolio. We use smoke ventilation, our company name, and also life safety systems. By setting up keyword searches for these particular words, that drives a PDF of all new or updated projects straight into our inbox for us to review at the right time when convenient, allowing us to prioritize our sales work that we're actively working on. Another important feature we use is the scraping of planning docs from all of the local authorities and all of the planning portals for the particular projects we're involved in. What this does is gives us direct access to the documents that we wish to view in a much more convenient way than having to access all of those local authorities individually. So, for example, important information to Powrmatic might be roof plans or elevations, or perhaps plans of car park views and things similar to this. This is important because Powrmatic product is not a fabric of the building. So at the early design stages and at the pre-planning stages, some of our products are already noted or denoted and sometimes specified within those documents. By having direct access through Glenigan to such things as roof plans, we can then decide whether our products have already been specified, and if they haven't, to pursue those people involved within those documents at the early stages. As an example, here's a snip from a roof plan highlighting that products that we are actively selling is involved within a project. Some other examples of how we're using both of these platforms to leverage our sales strategy would be the view of the BIM models within the NBS. So not only are we looking at products and projects where we are specified, we're also looking at those that are downloading and using the BIM models that we provide via the NBS. This gives us not direct hot leads, but what this does give us is opportunities to follow up with marketing campaigns. And as an example, we are currently using a telemarketing strategy to approach some of these people who have freely given their consent to be on these platforms. We're using digital marketing campaigns, key account campaigns, and also pursuing people for CPD opportunities, all based on the data provided by NBS. Ultimately, by NBS and Glenigan driving all of the information we need, and by us being able to log all of this within our CRM system in a coherent manner, that allows us to be much more efficient within our sales process, ultimately driving the growth and the sustainable and predictable growth that we desire. The direct to inbox, the click through from NBS into Glenigan, and the ability to access planning docs and store them within our CRM allows us to have a much better view of our pipeline and ultimately drive sales through our funnel and into securing more orders. So just to finish off, some benefits of Powrmatic having access to NBS and the Glenigan are dual approach to sales by focusing on passive and active sales at the right time and prioritizing which one at which time. We have real-time visibility of focus areas within our pipeline, whether that's short or long term. We can look at our 3-month pipeline that we're looking at on a daily basis. We can look at our 12-month pipeline, which we look at on perhaps a monthly basis. And all of it ties into what would be our 3-year strategy that we can look at as regularly as we need to. I've already highlighted that it allows us to prioritize our sales approach at any given time. Ultimately, it portrays Powrmatic in a very professional way, and we're not missing out to the competition because we're everywhere we need to be at the right time. And what it allows us to do is manage more projects, multiple projects, with more prospects using the same amount of resource as we've always had. That's all from me today, but if you've got any questions based on anything I've touched on, please do feel free to make contact on anything on the screen. Other than that, I'll hand back to Holly.
Thank you, Nick, for that. That was really insightful. Great to see how you're utilising the tools available to you to really maximise those sales opportunities. So I'd just like to finish with some closing remarks as a summary. So if you are, as a business, looking to prevent product substitutions or grow your build your sales pipeline, or even just get full visibility of the market that you're already working in, so you can analyze trends, know what's coming and when, please get in touch to arrange a demo, and we can set that up with an NBS and Glenigan representative who can give you a little bit more of a bespoke insight to your sector, and what it would mean to you as a business to work with NBS and Glenigan. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.